Before I go through how to handle registrations, I want to highlight the WCA's privacy policy. As an organizer, you have access to additional information about a competitor. This includes their email and birthday. That information must not be used for anything other than organizing this competition. For emails, that is contacting competitors about the competition and their registration if needed. And for birthdays, the primary use for that is to perhaps make groups. And if, let's say, a 9-year-old registered, I might not want them to judge, so I would likely avoid giving them a judging assignment, as an example. And anyone, for runners, you typically want them to be a little older, just to make sure that they're able to announce names properly. But those are examples of things that you can use it for. You cannot share people's birthdays or emails with others, and you cannot use them for any other purpose other than organizing this competition. The primary mistake that organizers have made, including myself at one point, is not moving emails to blind carbon copy, BCC. So if you are sending an email to all competitors, please, please, please double check and make sure that any emails are in BCC and they are not in regular carbon copy CC. That if they are in CC, then emails are available to everyone, and that is considered a data breach, no matter how many or little emails are included in that potential hypothetical data breach. If you do make a mistake, please just contact your delegate right away, and they can help you with next steps. However, please go slow and double check that you are following that policy. With that said, let's go through this page a little bit. So you'll see quite a few sections here and bells and whistles. On the pending registrations, everyone when they register will go onto that list. So you'll see my list of delegates and organizers. They have pre-registered for this competition, and that is completely fine, as well as you can see that they have not paid. That is also completely fine. Delegates and organizers are not required to pay. If for whatever reason you are required to pay, then your delegate would have told you that. At time of recording, an automatic registration handling feature has not been implemented, so this video will primarily go over how to manually handle registrations until that feature is implemented. However, there will still be some useful points here that allow you to make adjustments or move registrations around, let's say if someone cancels. So let's say registration just opened and I want to accept all my delegates and organizers. I can click this box to select everyone, and then I can click approve. But let's say I just want to accept a couple or one. I can just select those individual people. Like let's say if these were normal competitors, let's say myself and Francisco had paid, but these three had not, I can select them and then hit approve, and then wait till these payments have been made. Let's say that was an accident. I didn't mean to accept them quite yet. I can move them back to pending. Please note that every time you make these changes to a registration, the competitor will receive an email. They also receive an email when they register for the first time. If registration is full, I believe that the website has a safeguard to not allow you to accept above the registration limit. However, you should take care to not do so. Now let's say registration is full and I want to start a waiting list. So if I'm utilizing the waiting list, and the automatic registration feature will utilize this automatically as well in the future, I can select the people I want to move to a waiting list, and then just click move to waiting list. Now let's see if for whatever reason these got out of order, like I moved them around incorrectly and I need to edit the order of the waiting list. Please note this must only be done if there was a genuine mistake in the order. There is nothing that an individual competitor can do to move themselves up or down. If I need to edit it, I can select this, and this will allow me to swap places, for example, and then I can just close that, and it will stay in that order. Now, let's say we're on approved, and let's say I need to cancel my registration. I can no longer attend. Whether you click cancel or reject depends where you are in the registration process. If registration is still open, I would just click cancel, and that will allow me to re-register in the future if I end up being able to attend. Now, let's say registration is closed. Like the waiting list is very long and we closed registration early. That happens sometimes. I would click reject registration because I do not want to allow them to re-register. You can see that highlighted here, what the differences are. I'm going to move everyone back to pending since registration is not open. Additionally, with canceling registrations, you likely have to handle a refund. In order to process refunds, I would click this edit button. I'm going to go over to a different competition page with payment information just to show with more detail what it looks like. So before I get to the refunds, I'll just show everything up here. If I need to edit anyone's events for whatever reason, I can do that here. Green obviously means they're registered, and if it's not green, it's just white, then they are not registered for that event. I would just click the event changes that I need, and I would click update, and that would adjust their registration. Comments can be left by competitors. You are able to edit them, but there's no real need to. You can just leave them be. Sometimes they're helpful, sometimes they're just a fun little hello. For the most part, you can disregard them, but sometimes people post questions there because they don't know how to contact the organizers for whatever reason, and you may need to email them. Just keep an eye out on comments. Administrative notes are for internal comments. Let's say Ethan is going to show up late. I would say late for 3x3, assign to last group. And this is just a good way for everyone to see any notes. And if I do add a note, I won't add it to that one. Late for 3x3, add to last group. I can click update registration. It will ask you to confirm. And if I go back to this page, you can see administrative notes here, and the comments will populate there. And to delete it, we'll just remove the text and hit update. You can also individually edit people's registrations here. You just click the button that you want to select, and then you can hit update. And lastly, you can edit their guest count if needed. Depending on delegate and organizer preference, you'll want to double check what the deadlines are for things like updating the events. Sometimes there is a deadline so that the groups can be made without any adjustments. Sometimes event edits can be done until the event on the competition day starts. It's just kind of preference and logistics. But you'll want to double check that you're following that before you make any of these edits. There are some circumstances where these can be edited post deadline, but you'll want to check with your delegate to make sure that you are following the competition requirements policy. Finally, the last thing that you'll use on this page is the refund. So if someone cancels, and again, you'll want to check the refund deadline, and you'll want to also check the refund percentage. If someone cancels, we can process the refund here. I'll want to type in how much I want to refund. So let's say within this registration, within the refund deadline, Ethan says he can no longer attend, and this competition has 90% refund. 90% of 30 is 27. So I'll type 27 and hit refund, and then it will ask you to confirm. You'll hit yes. Then it will begin the refund process. There are some circumstances where a full refund is appropriate. Primarily, this is used when someone didn't make it off the waiting list. Then you can just type in the full 30. There are some other circumstances where an accepted competitor can get a full refund, but please check with your delegate before you do so. At the bottom, you can see some updates here just to track any changes to registration if needed. Some other helpful things on this page, you can see birthdays. If you select this, it will populate here. This will just expand the region if you want the text for whatever region, or if you don't recognize the flag maybe, but you can also hover. The events, you can click this, and that'll give you a little breakdown. Otherwise, you can just hover to look at individual ones, but this can be helpful when you're checking your groups and schedules closer to the competition to make sure that your counts look good. You can hide the comments and administrative notes if desired. If you select this, this will show emails. If you want to look at a specific email, you can do that. Otherwise, you can hover over this email button. You can see that's my email right there. And I'll go over that momentarily. And then the timestamp will just show when they're registered or paid. If they're paid, it'll show when they're paid. And if they haven't paid, it'll just show when they registered. And finally, if I want to email all competitors, I can select everyone on this list, and I can select send email or copy emails. If I select send email, That will launch your computer's email app. So if you don't have an email application on your computer and you only use it in browser, that button may not do anything, or it may launch an email app that you don't use. So another option is clicking copy emails, and that will just put it onto your clipboard and you can paste it into your email browser. Now let's say I want to email an individual person. I can click this button to do the same thing of launching your computer's email application if you have one, or I can just click copy and it will put it on my clipboard. Exporting a CSV will give you a .csv version of the registrations. This is helpful for making groups with some group making applications. It can also be used for getting a list of new competitors so that during check-in, we just have an automated list that we can check against to make sure that the information is correct on their profile. One other thing to watch out for when accepting registrations is if a new competitor has a name that doesn't look correct. That could be lack of capitalization or missing a first or last name and only having one name. You can let your delegate know about this and they will let you know what their preference is. They can be accepted and have that sorted at the competition. That is okay, but some delegates, like myself, prefer to handle it prior to registration. Both of those are acceptable ways to handle those cases. If it's a lack of capitalization, your delegate can just fix it themselves. But if they're missing a name, the delegate can reach out to the competitor and try to get that sorted for you. Either way, again, is perfectly fine. Just ask your delegate their preference if you do see some what appears to be an incomplete registration. As a reminder, automatic registration handling is going to be implemented at some point. So this will primarily serve as a how to handle registrations manually tutorial, but this will be good for new organizers who have not seen the registration page before, or organizers who have not utilized the new registration page yet. If you have any other questions, your delegate is there to help you.